Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to a small chapel in the Czech Republic. But listen, this is no ordinary church. The decorations here, they're not gold, they're not marble. They're made of human bone. Yeah, you heard that right. It's this incredible place where faith, history, and art all crash into each other in a way you will never forget. So what's with this number? 40 to 70,000. Well, that is the estimated number of human skeletons that are artistically arranged to decorate the inside of this one small chapel. I mean, we're talking about everything. There's a giant chandelier hanging from the ceiling, garlands on the walls, even family coats of arms. And yep, every single piece is made from human bone.
Which, of course, brings up the big question, right? How on earth did a church decorated with human bones even come to exist? It just seems impossible. To get to the bottom of this, we've got to go way back, more than 700 years actually. It all started with a simple act of faith that, believe it or not, planted the seeds for this macabre masterpiece.
Okay, first up, the holy soil, the seeds of a sacred cemetery. You see, the story of this bone church, it doesn't start with bones at all. It starts with just a little bit of dirt. It's kind of a wild reminder of how one symbolic gesture can totally change everything for a place.
So here's what happened. Back in 1278, an abbot goes on a trip to the Holy Land for the King of Bohemia. When he comes back, he brings with him a little bit of soil from Golgotha, the place of the crucifixion. And what does he do with it? He sprinkles it all over the local abbey cemetery. And the effect? Well, word just exploded. It spread like wildfire, and pretty soon, this little cemetery became the place to be buried in all of Central Europe. Everybody wanted it.
Next section, an overcrowded graveyard, a crisis of space. Because, all that fame, it came with a huge problem. This sudden rush to be buried in Sedlec was about to run head-on into two of the deadliest events in European history. So yeah, the cemetery was just completely overwhelmed. First, you get the Black Death in the mid-1300s, and thousands are buried there. Then, not long after, the Hussite Wars in the early 1400s add thousands more. By around 1400, they had no choice. They had to expand the cemetery and build a new church just to deal with the crisis. There was just no more room. It was a situation that needed a, let's say, practical and pretty grim solution.
All right, on to the bone stacker's task, the first arrangement. So really, what do? You've got tens of thousands of skeletons, and you need to make room for more bodies. The answer, it turns out, was to build a special place just to store the old bones. And that special place has a name, an ossuary. An ossuary is basically a room or a building, any site really, that serves as the final resting spot for skeletal remains. And they're often used when burial space gets scarce. This was actually a pretty common thing to do in Europe when cemeteries got full. It was seen as a respectful way to keep the community of the dead all together. But while the idea of an ossuary wasn't new, what they did at Sedlec, how they first arranged the bones, well, that was the start of something completely different.
And this is where the story gets even more incredible. Legend says that after 1511, the job of digging up all those skeletons and stacking their bones in the chapel was given to a blind monk. I mean, can you just picture that? This one monk who can't even see, carefully, methodically stacking the bones of thousands of people into these huge, neat pyramids. It's an image that's it's so strange, but also kind of beautiful and reverent, all at the same time.
Okay, our next chapter, a macabre masterpiece, art from anatomy. So for hundreds of years, the bones just sat there in these massive, neat piles. A very stark, very orderly collection. But then, in 1870, the story takes this final, jaw-dropping turn. The bones weren't just for storage anymore. They were about to become art.
So what happened was the Schwarzenberg family, who owned the land, hired a woodcarver, a guy named František Rindt, and his job was to organize the bone heaps. But they didn't just want him to make neat piles again. No, they wanted him to create a work of art. And boy, did he deliver something absolutely unforgettable.
I mean, Rindt didn't just organize the bones, he created masterpieces with them. Think about this, a giant chandelier that has at least one of every single bone in the human body. 4 enormous, bell-shaped mounds of bones in the corners of the chapel. He made garlands of skulls to drape across the ceiling. He even recreated the intricate Schwarzenberg coat of arms. And, get this, for his final touch, he signed his own name on the wall, using, you guessed it, human bone.
And that brings us to today. This number, 200,000, that's how many people visit this place every single year. This site, which was born out of faith and, a major crisis, has become one of the most popular tourist spots in the entire Czech Republic. It's like a modern-day pilgrimage for anyone who's curious or just wants to be completely awestruck.
So when you think about it, what is this place? Is it a memorial to the dead? Is it a masterpiece of macabre art? Or is it just a really stark reminder of our own mortality? The truth is, the Sedlec Ossuary is all of those things at once. It's a tribute, it's a one-of-a-kind, unsettling piece of art, and it definitely makes you think about your own place in the big cycle of life and death. And really, it leaves you with this one big question to ponder. How do we choose to remember our dead? And what stories will our remains tell long after we're gone?